Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hello.
Oh,
Hello.
are we all ready?
We're ready.
We're ready.
All right.
Oh, there's. Hi, Kelly. Okay.
Yep.
All ready to go.
Good to see you.
Here, so there you go. Everyone.
Okay.
All right.
Good.
We're all
Ed,
set.
welcome back to your chapter.
Well, it's so good to be back, and thank you all for letting me do this.
Thank you.
All right, here we go. I've always been interested in collecting music, and for quite some time I've loved things British, including British poetry, British architecture, British music, British organs, British organists, and British organ music. This evening, I present a synopsis of my first 4 articles on British organ music of the 19th, 20th, and 21st centuries. These 12 articles have appeared in the American Organist, the official journal of the American Guild of Organists. Forgive me for reading my presentation. If we were together and not socially distanced, I would give my presentation from memory, or as the Southwestern Pennsylvanians would say, off by heart. Many thanks to our chapter subdean, Tida Randolph, for his great help in putting this together, and also Michelle Cardos for her help. In the spring of 1974, I had the great privilege of going to York, England, to study organ and English cathedral music with Dr. Francis Jackson, master of the music at that time at the York Minster. Dr. Jackson was extremely brilliant, yet so very humble and very gracious. You should know that Dr. Jackson turned 103 this month and is still doing well, so they say. Joanne and I arrived in York in time to go to Evensong at the cathedral. What a remarkable experience that was. I will always remember the organ voluntary at the end of the liturgy, Postlude on a Ground by Herbert Merle, played by the deputy organist, Geoffrey Coffin. Now, if you're in England, you don't call your assistant the assistant or the associate, you call the deputy organist. It reminds me of the cowboy movies that I used to watch when I was very, very young. Anyhow, this Postlude on a Ground is what I would say a miniature Passacaglia. The theme is stated in the bass and continues to be heard in the bass while the manuals play variations above. The work begins very softly and gradually builds to full organ. Now we're going to hear Postlude on a Ground of Herbert Merle.
go. I didn't have to mute you.
Oh, okay.
Yes, you're good.
I'm good to go. Says my deputy. Now, you can also purchase this music in an Oxford collection of simple voluntaries. Actually, it's simple pieces for the organ. Now, this piece is simple in finding the notes, but the hard part of this all is to try to give this build this seamless crescendo. And you work even on a large organ, you work hard to get that exactly right. All right, some of you might also know Herbert Murrell's Carillon, which is published by Oxford University Press in a sumptuous book called Ceremonial Music for Organ, Book 1. Francis Jackson's teacher and mentor was Edward C. Bairstow. Jackson succeeded Bairstow at the Minster as master of the music. When I was there, the Friends of Music in York were celebrating the centenary. Now in England, they call it the centenary of Bairstow's birth, which was in 1874. Bairstow wrote many smaller works, but his large sonata in E-flat major is a gem of a piece. You may remember that Carolyn Robinson, young American organist, played the scherzo from the sonata on our 2019 annual AGO chapter grant recital at First Presbyterian Church. Perhaps some of you know and have sung or played the accompaniment to his lovely choral setting of the King of Love. And we will now hear the King of Love, My Shepherd Is.
Whose
We can't think of English Romantic music without mentioning the color and magnificence of Sir Edward Elgar's Sonata for Organ in G major. In my younger years, I played the first movement occasionally as a prelude for Easter. And the first movement seems and stands very well by itself without the other three. Oftentimes in recitals, you just hear the first movement of this. It's a beast to play, but quite worth the time. And we're going to listen to this large work that was actually first played for a crew of American organists who came to Worcester, where Elgar lived. And Elgar was to get the music for this new sonata to Hugh Blair, the organist of Worcester Cathedral. And it just did not come until a few days before the premiere of the piece. And as you might realize that there just wasn't enough time. And I understand the premiere of this work was a fiasco. But anyhow, just think of having to learn Edward Elgar. And once you hear this, you understand what I'm talking about in so little of time. We'll now hear Organ Sonata, Opus 28, number 1, played on the organ at Wolseley Hall at Yale University by Thomas Murray. If you are an Algar-phile, you will love the 11 Vesper Voluntaries, Opus 14, edited by Peter Horton, with a preface by the distinguished English organist Simon Preston, and published by Faber Music. These pieces were written when Edward Elgar was assistant or the deputy organist to his father. His father was the organist of St. George's Roman Catholic Church in Worcester. And so these particular pieces stem from that time, as does his lovely Ave Verum Corpus, if you've ever sung that particular piece of Elgar's. But anyhow, they are published, the Vesper Voluntaries are published on 2 staves with simple pedal parts indicated as such. These tuneful pieces, with all the Elgarian melodic, harmonic, and rhythmic quips, can be played in a complete cycle or individually. Music, claimed Elgar, was in the air. You just take as much as you need. Elgar's music is full of the moods of rivers, woods, orchards, and hills. And now we hear 2 Vesper Voluntaries. I've selected 2, also played by Thomas Murray on the large Skinner organ at Yale's Wolsey Hall. Other works for the organ by Elgar are mostly transcriptions. Yes, the pomp and circumstance marches are transcribed for organ, and the Imperial March and other wonderful music of Elgar, and all published by Novello. We all know Henry Thomas Smart's solid hymn tune to the James Montgomery text, Angels from the Realms of Glory. Playing Henry Smart on the organ during my younger years might have not been thought of, or might have been thought unthinkable. However, tastes change, and we are finding out that some of his music needs to be heard. I believe that his best work is his postlude in D. Andrew Scanlon, East Carolina University, and St. Paul's Episcopal Church in Greenville, North Carolina, made mention of this work on his Facebook page. He remarked that he found a copy that was full of good fingerings, hand divisions, and footings to play this not so easy of a piece. Here we have Andrew playing this joyful work on the famous Fisk organ at his church, postlude in D. postlude in D or in C of Smart is another more played and easier piece. Both postludes are available on IMSLP, or you can order them both under one cover from Fitzgerald Music Publications. Charles Villiers Stanford was born in Dublin and was educated in England and in Germany. He was a professor of composition at the Royal College of Music in London, and then became a professor of music at Cambridge. He was the leading composer of his generation, and the Stanford Society promotes his life and his music today. He was a composer of many genres, including 7 symphonies. But we organists remember his great contribution to the Anglican choral tradition and to the organ. If you want to learn a big organ work, look at Stanford's Fantasia, or the English would say Fantasia, and Toccata in D minor. Check it out first on IMPSL, and it is published by Stainer and Bell. I so appreciate his 2 sets of 6 short preludes and postludes. In the first set, I love his number 1 Allegretto in F major. In the second set, listen to Daniel Hyde play the postlude in D minor or finale in D minor on the organ at King's College, Cambridge. Daniel Hyde was former director of music at St. Thomas Church in New York City. He returned to King's to succeed the late Stephen Cleobury as director of the famed King's College Choir. The Stanford piece was recorded when Daniel was an organ scholar at King's. Now we'll hear just a bit of this particular piece, finale in D minor. Remember that when we sing the Fred Pratt Green text, when in our music God is glorified, we sing it to Stanford's tune, Engelberg. When somebody mentions Charles Hubert Hastings Perry, or C. Hubert H. Perry, or Hubert Perry, I think of his monumental choral classic, I Was Glad, or the soul-stirring musical setting of William Blake's Jerusalem, sung to various other texts in American hymnals.
Mighty God, the Father of our Lord Jesus Christ, pour upon you the riches of his grace, sanctify and bless you, that ye may please him both in body and soul, and live together in holy love unto your lives' end. Amen.
Perry was a professor of music at Oxford University and at the Royal College of Music in London. Organists should check out his 2 sets of chorale preludes. I was so happy to hear my very favorite one on the Scottish Psalter tune Dundee, played as a postlude at First Presbyterian Church by our Dean, John Salveson. The chorale preludes are available in IMSLP or published by Novello. The Little Organ Book in Memory of C. Hubert H. Perry is a collection of miniatures, or a wreath of melodies, as it was called, written by Perry's friends and played at his funeral at London's St. Paul's Cathedral. This book is published by Banks. Sir Henry Walter Davies served London's Temple Church from 1897 to 1923. Many choirs today sing his most popular anthem, God Be in My Head. So many of us have played Davies' Solemn Melody, published by Novello, and is available in IMSLP. I prefer James Welsh's arrangement of Solemn Melody in a publication from Morning Star Music called Two Regal Settings by English composers. The Temple Church became world famous under the leadership of George Thalben Ball, who served the church from 1923 to 1982. In 1927, the choir released a recording of Mendelssohn's short cantata, Hear My Prayer, which is still talked about for its musical excellence. Thalben Ball, a brilliant organist, recognized for great emotion in his playing and for his superior hymn playing, is fully known for his Elegy in B-flat, published by Paxton. This piece was first improvised at a BBC broadcast of a service at the Temple Church, which ended too early, and Thalben Ball had to fill in at the organ. He wrote down what he remembered, and to me, it sounds like an homage to Davies and his Solemn Melody. We play Elegy in B-flat major. Tuba major, tuba mirabilis, are stops on the organ that do not imitate the orchestral or band instrument. Tuba is Latin for trumpet, and tuba mirabilis translates as a remarkable and wondrous trumpet. Since the 19th century, England has been known for the tuba stops on their organs. They are normally powerful and smooth stops on high wind pressures. The tuba mirabilis at York Minster in 1974 was humongous. And that word is now in most dictionaries, meaning extremely large. Tuba tunes are popular genres of Great Britain. When I was at York Minster, Francis Jackson had just recorded the tuba tune of Norman Cocker. Norman Cocker was an amateur magician, and his tuba tune is magical and majestic. It's published by Stainer and Bell and also available in IMSLP. Craig Seller Lang was born in New Zealand, but was educated and worked in England. His tuba tune in D major, published by Kramer Music, is a jig and is very popular in America. Watch that you follow the phrasing and the various articulations in the melody. We'll play the trumpet tune in D major. An authority once wrote that Mr. William Thomas Best is acknowledged to be the greatest master of the organ in Britain. Franz Liszt proclaimed that Best could do anything brilliantly. People were amazed at his tone coloring and expression. Best was a man of strong ideas and never hesitated to flaunt his opinions. He was playing for a gathering in one of England's town halls. When it was time for the speech, he got off the organ bench and sat in a comfortable chair. When the speaker had completed his address, he said, "The organ will now play." Best kept sitting tight on his chair, and the speaker said the same thing several more times. Finally, Best spoke up loudly and clearly and said, "Well, damn well, let it play." Best transcribed thousands of pages of orchestral music to play on the organ. For people when symphony orchestras were few and far between. A favorite best transcription of mine is the Mendelssohn Overture to the Oratorio St. Paul. You can hear the this late John Scott play this remarkable video on YouTube. Sometimes, and some years at First Presbyterian Church, I initiated an annual concert entitled The Playing of the Merry Organ, the title stolen from The Holly and the Ivy. My wife joined me and read Christmas prose and poetry. The only piece I've ever played of Best was on those Christmas concerts, his Christmas fantasy on old English carols. Fun to play and to listen to. It is available through Barden Music. It was Dr. Charles H. Heaton, once organist and director of music at Pittsburgh's East Liberty Presbyterian Church, who introduced me to Edwin Henry Lemaire. On his eclectic recitals in the 1970s and 1980s, I was so taken by his inclusion of Lemaire's organ arrangements of tunes from Bizet's Carmen and Stephen Foster melodies. He would also play Lemaire's Andantino in D flat, which was published in 1892. Moonlight and Roses was added to the melody by American songwriters Ben Black and Charles Daniels in 1921 without permission. Here is an example of where the organist is required to thumb down a counter melody on an adjacent manual. We now hear Andantino in D flat. Wayne Leopold editions of the works of Edwin Henry Lemaire are easily available. Each volume is full of original pieces, arrangements, and transcriptions. They also include Lemaire's Art of Organ Playing, the Art of the Rubato, and the Art of Registration. Lemaire was born and educated in England. He served churches and town halls in England and came to America in 1902 to serve as civic organist at the Carnegie Institute in Pittsburgh. And then he went on to other venues in our country. He was the highest paid organist of his time. Thank you kindly for listening to this presentation.
Thank you all.
I thank you.
Oh, yeah, oh, good.
Thank you so much, Ed. That was fantastic.
Where's John?
Thank you.
This is Bridget, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I was going to mention she's studying with Andrew right now, Scanlon, and I wasn't sure which one it was. Did you hear me? Can she hear me?
Yeah.
Can she hear me?
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. I think.
Bridget,
Mhm.
I understand that you're studying with Scanlon now.
Yes, I am. Yeah.
What a fantastic organist.
Yes, definitely.
What a fantastic organist. And I'm
Mhm.
sure teacher too.
Yeah, I've learned a lot already. So.
Wonderful. Any questions? Can we do that?
Mm-hmm, sure. Yeah.
Any questions at all? Well, thank you so much. It's my great pleasure.
Before you all head out, you will be getting an email from Michelle about our December program, which we hope all of you will take part in. The board has been working hard on the technology, and I think it'll be kind of fun, but we'll have to do most of our work in November to do it. So watch for that email, and thank you again, Ed. That was just fantastic.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Any other questions?
I don't know everybody.
No, I don't think so.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Why is it not going off?
How many folks can you